With season 11, episode 15 of the final season of The Walking Dead setting up a massive mid-season finale, we can expect some bloodshed in episode 16. By the looks of things from common knowledge and from the promotional video for the mid-season finale, it's safe to say that Dwight's comic death will be adapted to the show for a certain character, along with the death of some other characters to make the episode boom and to set up an action-packed third part for season 11. That means that this episode will contain some spoilers for season 11 episode 15. Trust. The episode is out on AMC Plus, so if you haven't watched it already, I suggest you go do so. If you're waiting for it to air on television, make sure you come back to this video in a few days. And for a quick message before we begin, I'll be uploading videos weekly, whether it be The Walking Dead, video essays, or talking about other movies and shows, so make sure you subscribe to not miss out. Now let's dive right into what we know. So with season 11 episode 15, titled Trust, there were some extremely strong themes of just that. Trust. The most important thing from the episode is that Maggie, Aaron, Gabriel, Elijah, and Daryl are all enemies of the Commonwealth. The Hilltop community as a whole is in some serious trouble when it comes to Lance Hornsby and his command. Lance wants Maggie dead, and to do that job he has formed together a team of mercenaries to take her out, that team having none other than Leah on it. We know Leah is exceptionally well trained in combat, so she fits the job perfectly. She single-handedly took out a convoy of Commonwealth soldiers, and now she's teaming with some of the Commonwealth's fighters and Lance. Leah would want Maggie dead as Maggie killed all of Leah's remaining family just when she thought they were going to walk free. So she is going to be bloodthirsty and has the reason to be when she comes across Maggie. But let's be real, Maggie is a main character and still has a lot of story left to tell along with a spin-off show, so we do know she is going to be fine. Leah and Lance on the other hand are next in line for a big death. This is where my theory comes in. I think that Leah is going to get Dwight's comic death. If you don't know what Dwight's comic death is, I'll quickly go over it for you. In the comics, when a private meeting was being held, Pamela Milton walks into it, invited by Michonne to the knowledge of no one else in the room. Pamela enters with some soldiers and orders to have Dwight arrested, but he pulls out a gun and aims it directly at Pamela's head. She's shocked and taken back. Dwight protests her ways, and then Rick shoots him in the head, ending the conflict to save Pamela's life. In the show, I don't think it will happen like that at all. Pamela Milton isn't going to be there or any of that. But here's what I think will take place involving Leah, Daryl, Maggie, and some of the soldiers. I say Leah gets Maggie at gunpoint, and Maggie has nowhere else to run. The other soldiers would probably be dead, making it a one-on-one face-off between the two who have both lost friends and family because of their war. When things look bad for Maggie, Daryl shoots Leah in the head, killing her and saving Maggie. It may not exactly be like that, but the idea would be the same. It adapts the situation and emotional value from the comics, but translates it to the show's current problems. Rick didn't want to shoot Dwight. He really regretted that it had come to that. And because of Daryl and Leah's relationship, it would be the exact same. Daryl wouldn't want to have to kill Leah. We know this because he already gave her a second chance to go on and live back in episode 9. But his hand would be forced in order to save Maggie. Leah is past the point of redemption. She's been given chances, so the only option left for her character is to die a death that at least means something. Her death would mean something to Daryl. There's been a lot of rumors and theories that the death would be given to Hornsby, but because of the spot the characters are in right now, it makes the most sense for it to be Leah. Don't expect one of our group members like Aaron to go just yet in episode 16. I do think he's gonna die at some point, mainly because he's not in any of the recent set photos from part 3, but the mid-season finale won't be his time. Lance Hornsby, on the other hand, is next in line for a death behind Leah. I would be shocked if he made it out of the episode just because this does seem like a point The Walking Dead would end his story. He went from being a friendly face to the group, now to downright sinister and evil, so his time probably is up in this episode, being killed by Maggie most likely. We do see him a little beat up in the trailer with a gash on his face, so Lance is going to be in some sort of action. We also do know that Aaron and Gabriel will have turned against the Commonwealth fully and will be killing their soldiers in this yard here. I think for Hornsby to escape this situation is near impossible just because of the way it looks to go. If he's beat up, he's going to be an advent fighter against Maggie. Leah only escaped Maggie to be killed here, and Lance is Mercer's villain arc has also led to this moment, the moment where the Commonwealth becomes truly evil. I really do like Lance though and would like to see him survive, because if he escapes, he and the Commonwealth government would only be more corrupted with evil, making for great plot lines between them and the communities. There's still a lot to be done with his character, especially if he goes back to the Commonwealth as a figurehead and like he didn't just try to kill Maggie and the others. It would almost give everyone enough reason to turn their backs on the community and see them for who they really are and how everything bad is covered up. Something else we got from this episode was quite a bit of development for Mercer. We even learned his first name is Michael. We didn't really need to learn that, but Michael is fitting, I guess. It is the name of his actor after all. Anyway, he does go through a good amount during this episode, which I really like. He's definitely being set up to eventually betray the Commonwealth and its military, and I think that's very obvious. He's witnessing the corruption firsthand, and it's really weighing on him. That was the main message of this scene here. His sister Max reinforced that he could make a huge change, and that's something he's considering. I think soon enough in part 3 we'll see him break and side with our group, going against the ways of Pamela and especially Sebastian. Based on supposed leaks, Pamela does get overthrown and loses power just like in the comics, and Mercer's gonna play a massive part in that, so expect him to be a main character soon. The Commonwealth will fall in a sense and be reformed, so who will be the new governor or leader of the Commonwealth? Well, lucky for you, I do have some information on that, and leader is in fact plural. Before we continue on with who these new leaders are, just know that it does contain spoilers for the final episode of the show. Some big changes are to happen, so if you want it to be a surprise, now's the time to stop watching. If you want to hear it though, I have good reason to believe that both Mercer and Ezekiel are the new leaders of the Commonwealth. Allow me to explain. My source is TWD Universe Spoilers on Facebook, and they'll of course be linked in the description. They made a post talking about hints from leaked set photos that Mercer may become a leader of the Commonwealth, and it really got me thinking. A leak came out a while ago for the final episode that said the new leaders of the Commonwealth address the citizens towards the end of the episode. A photo from behind the scenes shows many characters here at this location, specifically characters we're familiar with. They're all at a park, and the photo of Mercer and Ezekiel are at the same park. Looking a little closer, we can see they're facing towards the park and the fountain, right where everyone else is around. Ezekiel has a big smile on his face, and Mercer's dressed up very nicely, which has me thinking that the leaders that address the citizens from the leaks, well, they're none other than these two. When you think about it, it makes more than enough sense. Episode 15 sets up Mercer for eventually going against the Commonwealth, and Max even mentions he could make a big change, foreshadowing what's to come. As for Ezekiel, we know from his time with the kingdom that he's an experienced and strong leader. He's a perfect fit for the role. That doesn't mean I think he'll get Rick's comic death either, because I think that this very scene here is the last of Ezekiel and his story. Whatever his arc is throughout part 3, this will be its conclusion for his whole character, and the same goes for Mercer. Whether we'll see either of them in the Rick movies is unknown, but I think that this is a good and fitting ending. It's really crazy to think that we're looking at one of the final scenes ever for the show right here. I really do like this peaceful and nice send-off for a character like Ezekiel. We know Luke and potentially Rosita, as covered in my last video, both die in this episode, so I'm at peace knowing at least someone's story concludes nicely. I'm against having deaths in the final episode, but I'm really just hoping it isn't messed up. And the final episode is only a closure for a few characters, since we know Daryl, Carol, Maggie, Negan, Michonne, and Rick all have more adventures that are going to be explored. Alexandria, Hilltop, Oceanside, and the Commonwealth will also have all of their stories concluded, since we know the walls of Alexandria are coming down next month, and that the lands and homes are going to be renovated to be sold on the market, so the chances of going back there are more than slim. So whatever happens in the Rick movies, don't expect to see Alexandria unless it's built on a set. And speaking of Alexandria, I have another photo from the set of the final episode that I would like to share. This here is obviously the windmill in Alexandria, looking much different than it does currently in the show. It's been repaired and repainted. There's also some ribbons on the ground, which has me thinking that some sort of ceremony happens in the community during the final episode. I'm not too sure what the ceremony would be, but it's something important that's worth celebrating. TWD Universe Spoilers first posted this windmill photo and had written Aaron Impact with no further context. And this was also when the windmill was still being painted, so so it most likely has something to do with him. I really don't see Aaron making it to the end just because of the way he's been built up, so if he has an impactful and meaningful death, I think that this is also a nice way to commemorate him and send his character off. I do think he'll get something similar to Rick's comic death, so it will be interesting to see what happens there. I really hope he does die for the reason that he's just been such a great character lately, and if he's going to go, he does deserve something that will impact everyone just like Rick when he died in the comics. That isn't confirmed though, so we'll just have to wait and see. That is going to be all for today's video though. Feel free to share some of your thoughts on Leah getting Dwight's comic death, Lance Hornsby being killed by Maggie, Ezekiel and Mercer becoming the leaders of the Commonwealth, and if you think Aaron will survive to the end. If you enjoyed the video, why not leave a like? Also make sure to subscribe to the channel for much more The Walking Dead content, along with monthly video essays starting this April. Thanks everyone for watching, stay safe, and have a great day.